All right, so for the grading and cutting out of our pattern, you're going to need your pattern. You're going to need something to mark with so that you can draw the new lines for your size. I like to have a quilting ruler. Just makes it a little bit easier to go from size to size. You could freehand it if you wanted, or some sort of straight edge works great. And then you'll need a pair of scissors to cut out when we're done. So I opted for this one to print up my old size just because it was a little bit different. Right now I'm just between 2 sizes. I used to be between 3 sizes and they were quite a bit different. So I just wanted to show you what it would look like if your sizes are quite different, because that is pretty common because we are not all the same size. So I'm going to show you on this, and then when I show you on cutting out the fabric, I'm going to show you how I use my projector, and then you'll see how I grade for my size there. So we have, I printed up a 14, 18, 22, and I would be upper bust and bust of 14, and then I would grade out to a 22 waist and back to an 18 hip. Briefly, before I show you on mine, if you need to lengthen or shorten, there is a line here. So if you see, the waist is marked right here, and you can measure it and see that's 8 inches. So if you are longer or shorter than that, you're going to want to add or shorten here so that your waist hits at the waist on your body. So you would simply cut out right that length and shorten line. If you needed to lengthen it an inch, you would just split it apart an inch, and then you could tape it to, I always taped them to a new piece of paper, and then you would grade your size accordingly. If you need to shorten an inch, you overlap them an inch, and again, you would just smooth out the edge as you're grading. So this is the line that you do that, so that way your waist of the shirt hits at your waist. Okay, so we have size 14 is where my bust was, and then we have our waist marked. So you want to be at your waist size by the time you get to your waist point. So this is why I like to use my ruler, because I would make some pretty straight lines and then smooth out as I cut. So I'm going from a 14 to an 18, or sorry, 14 to a 22, and then I would find the 18 at my hip and draw the line from there to there. And this is what most of my tops would look like. They would look pretty straight or sometimes flared out depending on the fit of the pattern. So you can see now, because I'm a 14 upper bust, I'm going to cut out the 14 neck and shoulder. And then if we had a waistband, you would cut, say I'm 18 waist, if there was a band, you would cut correspondingly the size 18 band. Because your upper bust and bust, mine are 14, I'm going to cut out, here you can see the neckband piece, I'm going to cut out the size 14 neckband, because this is going to be a size 14, and same thing for the armband. I'm cutting out the size 14 armband piece, because the arm side is a size 14. So you would do this exact same thing to the back piece, grading from your sizes, in or out. And then on this pattern, you can choose straight hem or curved hem. So you would cut out whatever one that you plan on doing. And that is how you grade your top. Okay, and then once you have your new line for your shape cut in, you would just go ahead and take your scissors and cut again. You would cut along the neck and arm for your bust. So I would cut 14 here, and then I would cut along this line that I made, and then along the hem that I chose. All right, so I use a projector to cut out my sewing pattern. So I have a projector up here above my sewing table, and it projects right onto my fabric so that I don't have to print out a pattern and cut it out. So I have, you see right here, a pattern. I have the front bodice here. It says cut 1 on fold. So we're going to take the fold of our fabric. So I have my fabric folded in half, and I have that piece center front against the fold, and now I'm going to go ahead and trace my piece before I cut it. I'm going to show you how I grade. Remember, I'm an 8 bust, and I grade out to a 10 waist, and then back to the 8 hip, and I'm going to do the straight hem option for mine. So I'm just going to go ahead and trace the size 8 for my neck and arm. Okay, now I have an 8 bust, so I'm going to go in and then out to that 8 waist, and then back into the, out to the 10 waist, back into the 8 hip, and I'm going to do the straight hem. Okay, so you can see, let me grab my light here. Alright, so you can see my pattern piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut that out, and then you will do the same thing for your back piece, and then I will also show you how we cut out our bands. See, I have our armband and our neckband piece here. Again, it's labeled on the fold, so you will want to cut to whatever size your bust and upper bust were. So I'm going to cut the 8. So I'm going to draw and cut 2 armbands and 1 neckband. So you'll just go ahead and trace, go to your upper bust size, and then you want 2 of those. So I'm going to slide my fabric over so they can have the same color. Okay, and then you will cut those out and do the same thing for your neckband.